Good evening and welcome to SpinCheck here on 6 News. It has been another busy 7 days in federal politics as the new Labor government continues to settle into its roles. Tonight we're speaking to Michael Balderstone, the president of the Legalise Cannabis Party, about the party's extraordinary results of the federal election and how they almost unseated Pauline Hanson. But first, a look at how the media has been covering some of the big political issues this week.
Liberal leader Peter Dutton's taken his new shadow cabinet on the road to Perth for its first meeting since the election.
The importance of Western Australia was made clear throughout the federal campaign, and it continues to do so in the fallout from it.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has said that the live sheep export trade is safe for the next 3 years.
This entire industry will be turned off.
Australia's investments in defence capability are a necessary and prudent response to the military build-up we see taking place in the Indo-Pacific.
It was an important meeting, but I think it's also important to understand this is just the first step and there's a long way to go.
That threat of rolling power outages for parts of the East Coast.
Today, AEMO has suspended the national electricity market. This decision was made because it was impossible to operate the system under current conditions.
What an international laughing stock Australia has become over energy.
And there we go. Look, we'll be speaking to President of Legalise Cannabis Australia, Michael Balderstone, in a moment. But while they didn't win any seats this election, they do have 2 seats, 2 MPs in the West Australian Upper House. One of them is Brian Walker. I spoke to him about his thoughts on the party's national success a little earlier.
I'm very heartened, very encouraged. I know from our own research in WA that 58% of our population would be in favour of at least decriminalising, if not legalising cannabis. There's a large upswelling of support for this. Nationally, of course, we've got the question, was this actually a protest vote? And to some degree, probably a protest vote. But I think at its very base, we've got a lot of people who are saying, this is a sensible thing to be doing. These are sensible people saying sensible things, and we want to have more of this. So there's an upswelling of support for the legalised cannabis potential and also possibly everything that we represent.
Brian Walker there, and we've got more of him on our website too, SIXNewsAU.com. Look, Michael Balderstone, he is the president of Legalise Cannabis Australia. That party almost unseated Pauline Hanson in the Queensland Senate at this year's election. They've had almost record results everywhere across the nation. Michael Balderstone is in New South Wales, northern New South Wales. I spoke to him a little earlier.
Yeah, I reckon we're going to end up with 500,000 primary votes nationwide. I think, pleasantly surprised, but not totally, because I think a lot of people, the word is out there on cannabis now that it's an excellent, safe medicine. I reckon there was a bit of a rebellious move away from the major parties. That happened anyway, like all the Teals, all the women getting elected. And maybe we copped a bit of that, but don't underestimate how many people are using cannabis in Australia. Most people won't put their hand up, obviously, you don't, the stigma, you'd lose your job, etc., etc. So in the anonymity of the polling booth, you can mark one and no one knows helps. I think changing the name helps. I think it's an important issue for a lot of people who are regular cannabis users, and people are afraid to make a noise about it, but on the voting booth's one place where you can.
You have your own state branches. I know in Western Australia you have 2 MPs there, which is something. Now, group voting tickets, which was the system WA had at last year's election, did at least partially help them get elected. That system only currently exists in Victoria, where it does become easier for minor parties to get in. Will Legalise Cannabis be running any candidates at the Victorian election?
We're not registered yet, so there's a push to try to get registered. I think we've only got the next month or 2 to do that. And at the moment, we've got 700 or 800 members down there, but we need more urgently. Because not everyone replies or plays it through properly. So anyone can join at legalisecannabis.org.au, but we hope to run in Victoria. You're right, it's the only other state left. And I think Western Australia will change it too, won't they now? It would be nice to have proportionate representation. So if you got, 2% of the vote, you get 2% of the politicians, for example. That would be very fair, I've often thought.
Michael Balderstone there, president of the Legalise Cannabis Party. Look, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let us know your thoughts on what he had to say in the comment section using the hashtag SIXNewsAU, or email your feedback to contact@sixnewsau.com. That is SpinCheck for this week. Of course, we've got more political headlines, election developments on our website, SIXNewsAU.com. We will be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. The latest political headlines are 24/7 SIXNewsAU.com, with plenty more news Sunday night as well. I'm Leonardo Puglisi. Have a good night.